Hello everyone, welcome back to the 20 Dilf channel, and this is my 2015 Volkswagen Polo GTI 6C. And what I'm going to be doing in this video is doing a complete overview of this car, so driving it, what's under the bonnet, everything else about this car you're going to see in this video. So let's get into it. Let's start off at the front where, I'm in love with these headlights. I don't know what it is about the front end on this car, but I would argue this is the best looking Volkswagen they've ever made. The front end at least. Seriously, this front end just does it perfectly for me. It's proportioned just right. I love the headlights. They've got these cool little red accents on either side in the luxury configuration that this is obviously optioned with. The daytime runners look really, really cool. I love them. So huge thumbs up for the front end. You've got these fake vents on either side with your cornering lights there and there, also act as your fog lights, as well as the little vent down the bottom there. I love it. And it's also got this little splitter like, I suppose, design piece at the bottom there. But yep, super happy with the front end on this car. Let's move on to the side of the Polo GTI 6C, where you will notice, of course, we've got the little GTI badge on the side there, which they started doing 2014 onwards with the Golf GTIs, the Polo GTIs, everything. The side obviously just looks like a regular Polo. You've got these little side skirts down the bottom here, which do help to add a little bit more flair to this car, but you can tell it looks very sporty from the side. I mean, it kind of just looks like if you took away the badge and the little side skirt and ignore the wheels, then it would look like a regular Polo. But on the subject of the wheels, this car is running 17-inch Pretoria style wheels. Obviously they're reps because they never made 17-inch 5x100 Pretorias, but we are running 215 45 17s, which is it's a little bit too big for this car. So stock, these cars come with really good looking wheels. My old one had stock wheels, and I really did like the standard wheels on the car, but I think the Pretorias are justifiable in this case because the previous owner, or the owner before the guy I bought it off, had these hideous looking Starcorp wheels on them. So I'm so glad he changed it before he sold it to me. But obviously behind that, you're running your red brake calipers with, I believe they're 288 mils at the front. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what they are. Super happy with these wheels. They do look quite good, usually against black wheels, but somehow these wheels, this design is able to pull it off against this car, and I do love it. So let's move around to the rear of my 6C Polo GTI, where I'm sure you'll notice the exhaust is not standard. So more on the exhaust in a little bit, but from the rear, you've got this nice little diffuser here, exclusive to the GTI models, but everything else pretty much the same. You've also got this nice little black extension on the boot lid here. Apart from that, looks like a regular Polo, to be honest. GTI badge there, of course, and it being a more modern Volkswagen has the little flip badge as well, which I am quite pleased to see. Apart from that, obviously my car is fitted with a, it's called a Monster Performance exhaust. Not too fond on the name, but the exhaust tone is really good. It's like how my old Polo GTI sounded with a Res Delete, it's just amplified. And I like that because it keeps that deep, rich tone that the 1.8 litre has, and I really do like the sound of it. So let's hear how it sounds. So I did a cheeky little soft limiter bypass. I would not recommend doing that. You can damage your gearbox doing that. Just get a tune if you want to bypass the soft limiter. This car doesn't have a tune, so I had to do my little soft limiter bypass trick. Would not recommend. Don't do it unless you got a tune. So I suppose what we should do now is pop the bonnet and see what's under there. So under the bonnet of the Polo GTI, we have the 1.8 litre turbo EA888. And this engine is actually a really good engine. It's one of the more reliable variants of the EA888. I haven't heard of anything really catastrophic going wrong with these engines. The timing chains are good. There are a couple of problems, which I'll get to in a minute. But yeah, these engines are far superior over the 1.4 twin-charged that was in the 6R, which is the pre-facelift to the 6C. But yeah, these engines are much better. I used to have a GTI 6C, it was a manual, and I thrashed the ever-living shit out of that car, to be honest. And I barely ever serviced it, and the engine never actually caused me any dramas. What ended up killing that car was the oil in the coolant, but that is to do with thermostat, water pump, everything like that. And obviously you've still got the water pump issues. It being a 1.8 doesn't eliminate those common water pump dramas. So you are going to go through water pumps. If you get any form of modern Volkswagen, they haven't really sorted that out just yet. Really solid engine. Another thing that commonly fails are the cam magnets. So, I mean, your car will usually throw up a code or not start if you've got bad cam magnets. Apart from that, they're actually pretty solid engines. Timing chains don't seem to be a problem on these too much. And yeah, mine's a little bit dirty, of course. There is a difference between the tunes on the manual and the DSG, because with the DSG, you have the infamously unreliable DQ200, which is essentially the black sheep of the Volkswagen gearbox family. And the reason being, it's described by many to be made out of glass. You got mechatronic issues constantly. It's a dry clutch gearbox, so the clutches often tend to go prematurely, about 70,000 Ks, some owners are reporting. With the DSG variant, it's 141 kilowatts and 250 newton meters of torque out of the box, simply due because of the weak gearbox which Volkswagen used. So they actually limited the torque by 70 newton meters on the DSG. So you can get, with the manual configuration, this produces 147 kilowatts, 320 newton meters. So you will get a little bit more power out of the box with a manual. In my personal opinion, go for the manual. Don't deal with the DSG dramas. There are a multitude of fixes to the sloppy DSG design though. TVS offer a tune, Harding Performance offer a tune, so I'm actually going to get the gearbox tuned by Harding Performance. It's a longevity tune. If you are going to get one of these cars, go to Harding Performance. They offer a longevity tune, which and there's a performance variant as well, which increases the clamp pressure force of the clutches and ups the tolerance to about 400 newton meters. So you can obviously tune the car then and not really have to stress about the gearbox. So it prolongs clutch life too, which is a must, because my DSG clutches are actually slipping on this car, to nobody's surprise. So I think my mech unit's okay, but the DSG clutches are certainly slipping, which we'll experience out on the road. But let's go check out the interior. Before we check out the interior, it's also important to note this is a pretty common fault. For some reason, the fuel caps don't like to actually stay on the 6i and 6e Polos, so they constantly break off, a little bit like the old Commodores. So this one's actually been screwed back in, but obviously I'll fix that. It still works. Like, it's just it's not in the best shape, so we'll leave that. So stepping into the interior of the 6C GTI, obviously you've got your GTI scuff plates on every single door as well, which I really do like. That's a nice little touch. But stepping in, you've got this lovely leather wrapped steering wheel to greet you. This is a very good steering wheel, same steering wheel they throw in the Mark 7 Golfs as well, which I do quite like. It's a nice feeling steering wheel. It doesn't have the I don't know, I still prefer the Mark 5 R32 steering wheel. I think that's Volkswagen's best steering wheel yet. It's very similar to the Mark 8 Golf steering wheels too. But yeah, this steering wheel, it feels fine. It's very comfortable. It's a good looking steering wheel too. And I can't say for certain, but I do have suspicions that this car has had some form of collision, because this airbag surround is actually from a 7.5 Golf. You can tell because it's got this little textured surround around the badge. So we've also noticed one of the headlights is slightly newer than the other, and the fenders have clearly been off. So it may have been an accident. I'm fairly certain it was, but I can't tell for sure. Obviously, this being the 7-speed DSG, you've got your little flappy paddles at the back here, just typical plastic, crappy Volkswagen paddles. So definitely worth changing at some point. Me being a pretty tall individual, I find it quite hard to fit in Polos of this era, even the 9Ns as well, because my legs are very long. So they actually, like, this is the seat all the way back, and I'm still very close to the steering wheel, which is fine. It's fine, but this door handle is in the way, and it actually developed a bruise on my leg from my old one because of how much my leg was rubbing up against that. But it's okay. It's okay. In a DSG, I feel like that's not going to be as much of an issue because it's more chill. Don't have to constantly be changing gears and that, so it should be fine. I think what Volkswagen should have done, this was a bit of a missed opportunity to make it feel a little bit more special inside. I think they could have replace this silver trim with maybe a red trim or something to go with the exterior of the car. Make it a little bit fun inside, because it is a little bit dull in the interior. I do prefer the interior of the Polo GTI over its competitors like the Fiesta ST though. So overall on the interior front of things, it's much better appointed. Like this is actually the pretty much highest spec Polo GTI. I love my high spec cars. I don't like the base spec. So this has a couple of optional extras, including the luxury pack, which comes with the sunroof, these lovely Alcantara and I think faux leather seats, which are heated. The heating seat element tends to fail after a certain amount of time though, which has happened on this car, and it happened on my old car too. It's honestly cheaper to go to a wrecker and just get a replacement seat rather than tear up the upholstery and obviously have to put the seat back together after to replace the heat seating elements, but it's okay. It's okay. Another optional extra is the sport button and parking sensors. This car has the sport button, which actually came standard on the cars 2016 onwards, but the pre-2016 6Cs didn't have the sport button as standard. It was a $400 extra here in Australia. This car is also fitted with Apple CarPlay and a reverse camera too, so that makes things very, very nice in the interior side of things. But moving down to the door, obviously you are going to find these cheap plastic materials all over the interior because it is a pretty budget friendly car, but it doesn't really matter. The dash is actually out of this soft material, like rubbery kind of stuff. I don't know how to say. You also got auto headlights and rain sensing wipers, all that good stuff too. The instrument cluster looks like this. It's quite nice. It's got a pretty nice look to it. This car's done 209,577 kilometers, so it's been pretty far, and obviously it's stood up to the test of time and it's still going very strong. This car's only been serviced at Volkswagen, so this is your sign to take your car to maybe not Volkswagen, but obviously a Euro specialist or someone. Do your maintenance. Seriously, look after the car, it'll look after you. I can't say this enough. Like it's the key to having a car that lasts forever. You just look after it, okay? Obviously, moving to the center here, you've got this lovely infotainment screen. It's a little bit dated now, but it all works as you'd expect. It's also got this, I suppose, motion sensor bar here. So when you put your hand close to the screen, it'll come up with like options and stuff. So I've always found that a pretty neat little feature. And here you've got your digital aircon. This was standard in Australia, but I know overseas they come with manual knobs and stuff. Digital aircon works pretty good, and I've really got no complaints about that whatsoever. Moving down, you've got this pretty ratty looking shifter. I mean, it's done almost 210,000 Ks, so obviously it's going to have a little bit of wear and tear on it, but the actual boot itself isn't torn, and it's in pretty good shape. So that's really that. Down here, you've got your little storage area here. Manual handbrake, of course. Very nice, very nice. Glove box. Decent amount of size in there, and that's really it. No sunglasses holder here. That's actually found in the glove box just here. You can use that for sunglasses or change or whatever you really want to use it for. And yeah, I mean, sunroof, and that's the back there. But yeah, I mean, for seats that have traveled almost 210,000 Ks, they're in pretty good shape. A little bit of tearing here, it's fine, doesn't really matter. These cars are pretty notorious to having a couple of electrical issues and lots of squeaking, but this car doesn't actually squeak too much. So that's the difference of buying a car that's been driven in the country rather than the city. This is a country driven car. It was actually owned by someone out in Wagga Wagga before the owner that I bought it off. So it spent most of its time out in the country doing long distance, and that's how it's racked up so many kilometers. So because of that, because it wasn't constantly hitting speed bumps or traveling on Sydney's awful roads, it's actually, the interior's aged really nicely, which is very good to see. I think that's all I have to really say about this car. So let's go take it for a drive. Okay, so here we are in the 6C Polo GTI, and we are going to take it for a nice little drive. So obviously what I always do when I get in this car, auto start stop off, sport mode on. Exhaust sounds really good inside as well. It's not drony either. It's pretty much a straight through system, but you didn't hear that from me. You know what, let's start it off in regular driving mode, in automatic. I hate driving in automatic though, because I feel like I'm destroying the clutches. It doesn't yet have the longevity tune, because I need to do the clutches first. I literally bought this car the other day, pretty much told nobody about it yet, so but yeah, the exhaust, obviously it's modified, so I mean, it sounds okay. A little bit of rattling from this seat, but nothing a bit of WD-40 can't fit. That's actually no, that's the little center armrest here. The clip on the top has broken a little bit, but it's okay, it's fine. So driving it normally on the road, I just did a DSG reset before I did this review, so it's still learning my driving behavior, so it's not going to be shifting normally. But going down the hill, I mean, it's comfortable. It's very comfortable, even riding on the Pretorias with the wrong wheel size. it still feels fine to drive. It likes to stay in third gear. You're gonna shift up, car? You're gonna shift up? It's just stuck in third gear. There we go, it's shifted up. It's still learning, alright? I just did the DSG reset, and also I'm on a very uneven road, so it's probably getting quite confused. But, we're coming up to my first little favourite straight. Just tried to put that window down. Sport mode, windows down. Get ready for this. I love the DSG farts. They're so annoying when you hear someone fly past with a super loud exhaust and they upshift and you see get the DSG fart or the dual clutch fart. But seriously, behind the wheel when you're doing it, it's so much fun. It's so addictive. All you want to do is just go up a gear, up a gear, up a gear. Oh, it's hilarious. I love it. So anyway, we're coming up to my second little straight here. The clutches don't slip too bad if you feed the power. Don't just book it. So. Yeah, flat out, this exhaust sounds really good. And that DSG reset's actually done this car a lot of favours. It's possible that it just needed a reset and it was purposely slipping the clutch. I don't know, but anyone who tells you that this car is not fun to drive, they are absolutely wrong. This car is so fun to drive, even as a DSG. Like I said many times already, I'm sure you're sick of me saying it, my old car was a manual. I loved that car to bits, and that's why I bought this, because I miss that car. Alright, I miss it. But everyone says, oh, go the manual. It's a little bit more enjoyable than the automatic. I would argue that they both have strengths in their own areas. Like, this one's a little bit more usable around town, obviously being an automatic. But then you get the DSG farts too, which is so fun. It's so fun, I love it. It's so much fun, especially with an exhaust like this. But anyway, how is it in terms of the performance? Look, it's not the fastest. 0 to 60 on the manual is 6.7 seconds. This is obviously before tuning it though. Volkswagens, especially modern ones, they're very easy to tune. You plug it into a computer for half an hour, there you go, you've downloaded 70 horsepower just like that. These cars are extraordinarily tunable. Just do not tune this car until you've done the longevity tune for the gearbox, okay? Otherwise, you will make your DQ200 grenade, and that's not fun for anyone, because gearboxes are expensive. Gearboxes are very expensive, so make sure to do the longevity tune, or if you've got a manual, upgrade the clutch. Otherwise, you're just gonna burn out the clutch really quickly. So yeah, I mean, that's really that. That's all you have to really look out for when it comes to tuning these, but otherwise, go for gold. These engines can take it. My Golf R is tuned to 400 brake horsepower on stock internals, just has a downpipe, a couple of other things, nothing really crazy, and it's producing that much power. Like, these engines are so easy to get power out of. And what I love about the Polo platform is they feel so much more nimble than the Golfs. They don't feel as stable, they do feel a little bit like, how are you going? But that's nothing that can't be changed with a set of coilovers or better lowering springs, better dampeners, everything like that. Like, it's just a couple of minor tweaks you got to make, and then you'll be flying around corners in this thing. I would argue this thing corners better than my Golf R, which is pretty obvious considering this only weighs about 1.2 tons, whereas the Golf R is closer to the 1.5 mark, and it's all-wheel drive. Stock power configuration, you're not spinning up the front wheels. Obviously, this is on pretty much the worst tyres I think I've ever heard of, apart from Linglongs, so I'm not really getting that kind of sense of confidence that I did in my previous car when I throw it around corners and stuff, but I don't care. This car is awesome, and it's so comfortable as well with the luxury. I've driven one with the like base spec with the tartan interior. Those seats are comfortable as well, but these ones are so comfortable. I took my old one to Brisbane. I'm taking this car to Brisbane tomorrow, and yeah, they're so comfortable. Drop a couple gears. I love the DSG cars. It's so fun. And the DSG, like, even though this is a DQ200, it still retains that that typical DSG trait, which is super fast shifting. But obviously, it's a little bit jerky in slow speed conditions, like around town and stuff. and the downshifts are a little bit slow too, as experiencing right now, but the upshifts are pretty much instant, so that's fine. This car is so fun. This car is so much fun. And these are still very affordable. They've held their value really well over time, but I mean, they're definitely, they're about $5,000 cheaper, I would say, on average, than a brand new MG3. And seriously, I would argue this is so much more fun. And you're only buying, what is this, a 9-year-old car now. It feels good. It's got all the modern luxuries you want. Obviously, it's got all the steering wheel controls, cruise control. For some reason, Volkswagen put the radar cruise control in the standard Polo if you optioned it up, but it never came in the GTI, which has always really confused me. I've never understood why they did that, but I mean, Volkswagen will be Volkswagen at the end of the day. Let me give you, like, what do I think of this car? Well, I think it is perfect for anyone. If you're a P-plater or an L-plater and you want to start driving, but you want something fun, you don't want a Golf, you want something a little bit smaller, a bit more tailored towards city use, I suppose. This car, fucking cyclist thinks he owns the bloody road. Let's piss him off. If you want something a little more like city, like if you live in the city, you need something small and practical, this is the car for you, because you can take it out on the weekends, have a little bit of fun with it. Even city driving in this at slow speeds is still so much fun. Even with the DSG, it can be clunky, obviously, being a dual clutch gearbox, but it's not unlivable. Seriously, I cannot recommend this car enough. I love this car. It is probably one of Volkswagen's best cars in my opinion. And the newer GTIs are just even better than this. This is already a great starting place, and Volkswagen have only done and made it better. Obviously the newer ones are slightly larger than the 6C, a little bit more like the Golf Mark 4 size now, but seriously, I love this car. I love this car, man. It's so much fun. Like, it's cheap fun as well. Like, as long as the car's been looked after and you look after it, and everything major has been done on it, you don't really have anything to worry about. These engines are really good. I mean, this is what, 210,000 Ks. I scanned it when I looked at the car. Had 3 faults. No engine faults, no transmission faults, nothing. Just the speaker, the heated seat, and something to do with the steering. On that subject, the steering is a little bit light, but nothing a VCDS plug-in session wouldn't fix. So you can make the steering heavier if you want. That's the great thing about Volkswagens. They're very customizable if you know what you're doing. So look, on that note, I recommend this car to anyone. I seriously do. It is the most perfect Volkswagen I've driven. It is perfect for me. I would argue it's better for me than the Golf R, just because it's so much more practical for what I look for in a car. It's comfortable, it's easy to drive, it's easy to park, you have so much fun in it. Yeah, seriously, this car ticks so many boxes, and I seriously, I cannot understand how car reviewers just say that this car is boring to drive compared to the competition. They are so wrong. They really are. But anyway, that's going to be it for the video, and I will catch you in the next one.